Hello and welcome to the new Power BI dashboard tutorials for beginners. And in this tutorial, as you can see, I will show you how you can create the HR analytics dashboard. And if you have seen my previous tutorial, this is the similar type of dashboard I had created in the Tableau, and one of the users basically asked to create it in the Power BI, even though I had the plan that I will going to create this similar dashboard in Power BI. So if you have not checked the Tableau dashboard, you can look at it. But the whole idea is that how we can get a similar type of look and feel, the charts. Definitely few functionalities may or may not be present when we look at both the views. However, the whole idea is we are able to replicate or create the similar type of dashboard over here as well. And you will see that the look and feel is what I've tried is to create as simple as possible for the beginner perspective. Like for example, you have the banner, you have the clearly indicated filters, like you want to view all of this information by department or gender. So the whole idea is that when we set the context of the dashboard, we basically try to see how we want to view the dashboard. That means by which dimension we want to slice and dice. And let's say after a couple of round of discussions, it was decided that since it will going to be a department specific dashboard where we wanted to, let's say, provide either a senior management a complete view of each department, or even the department heads can go in and look at that information. Another cut is by gender, to understand the diversity in the department, and from a various different metrics like active employees, usually how much employees are staying, what is basically your number of remotees that you have, what is the average age of employee that you have, let's say in case of female or male or all of the employees. So that's what we have it over here. And as you can see, we have like multiple departments over here, and we have male, female, and non-confirming. That means the people who are not revealing this sensitive information. So this is again a data set which is coming from. And before I show you the dataset and entire functionality, just a quick information that all of my Power BI videos, for them I am capturing them in my in the Google Sheet, and the link of this Google Sheet, this one, is present in the description. So you can come over here, look at all of my previously created dashboards like sales performance dashboard, customer analytics, or financial complaint dashboard, and DAX and other visualizations tutorial that I have put it, so that if you have any specific learning needs or you want to create your own learning plan, you can create it from here. And you have the link of the videos over here in the column B, so you can jump over there as well. So this is just to ease the search for you in case you are looking for topics or anything around dashboards and all. And since it is a live Google Sheet, it will always be most up to date with my future videos, right? So that's something I will keep on populating for you. So you can bookmark this and come over here whenever you need to learn anything about the Power BI. All right, with that information, let's move to the data set. If I have show you this over here, the real world fake data, and this is the link. You will find it in the description to download the data, and down there you will see you have these data links, right? So we have this human resources. If you click there, you will find the data set. So that's what I have been using, but what I found is this data set have some issues with very critical field, which is date. So for example, if I just go over here and show you this, you will see that you have something called as birth date. If I just expand that, and you have something which is called as hire date, and you have the term, that means the termination date, that means when the employee basically moved out of the organization. Now the whole problem is that you won't find the dates are properly formatted right? In this case, like this is properly formatted, and you will see by default it is coming as a date. But this one is general. Even if you try to keep it like a short date, what I experienced in my hours of exploration is that you won't be getting the proper date format within Power BI. So we have two ways to deal with this type of information like birth date and over here. And especially in case of hire date, if you see the information that is coming like 0408 and over here you have these forward slash. So you can basically get into a scenario like this, and over here again this is entire date, time and stamp, right? So again you don't have it as a proper date. So we have two ways, like I was saying. We can convert or we can transform this data within Power BI, or we can transform this data within Excel. Since my perspective here is to do it for the beginners, I will just try to do it in the Excel, but I will create a separate video so that you can clearly understand the similar stuff that you can do it in the Power BI. It's just that I have not yet explained anything about the Power Query or the data transformation into the Power BI. That's another very huge concept, which can take another 100 videos to cover it up properly. All right. So what I can do is I will just show you very quickly what I did, and I will ask you to do that same for hire date and term date. Okay. So I will just right click over here and create insert, press F4 to create a couple of more columns. That means F4 you press basically to repeat the same step. Then over here you basically come and go over here in data, and you have text to columns. In the text to columns, delimited is fine. You go to this next, uncheck this, click on other and say this dash or minus sign, and you will see the information is segregated, and you will click on finish, right? So what you get is this. Now the next thing what you need to do is you need to select all of this, go to home, because information is not coming properly. As you can see, in some cases information is coming, in many other cases it is 1905, 1900 and all. So convert everything to a general, and this is what you get, right? So what you have is the year, the day and month, and then use the Excel's date function, equals to date. So wherever the year, so first parameter value is year, so provide year, comma the month, which is this, comma the day, which is this. So now you see you get a proper date. So a little bit of transformation is required, and I'm doing in a spreadsheet because if you are a complete beginner, if I try to do it in Power BI, you may be a little bit puzzled as to what's really going on. So if I click on this over here and right click, paste spatial values and convert it to short date, it will properly come as date now. So that's a quick technique you need to repeat for hire date, but again for hire date you need to do it for this minus sign as well as for the forward slash as well, right? And for term date you just need to first separate this information by the space to remove the timestamp, because we don't really worry about timestamp. So first thing is text to column by space. Once you get the term date, then again text to column by these minus sign. So that's what I want you to practice, what I did over here in this case. Okay. After that, you save it as a worksheet, like a workbook, Excel workbook, and import it into the Power BI like I did. So over here, then I get a properly formatted date, which like hire date, which the Power BI can detect. And down there you will see the information even for the termination dates, right? So a little bit of transformation is doing. If you find any problem, you let me know. I will look into the comments. Okay. The next thing is creation of the dashboard. So I explained you the banner and this filters. However, you have these KPIs. So KPIs, we have two type of information over here. We have total employees, based on their ID, employee ID, let's say, and but many of them have left the organization, and that is why you have the termination date. So what I'm trying to show it over here is what is like the total employee count, but out of these total employees that you have had so far in the engineering department, how many you have the active employees, what is their average stay, what is their out of these 5451, 1350 is basically a remote and the count is 25%. And then what is the employee average age within the engineering department, and then we are expanding upon these metrics, right, just to give more in-depth and contextual information over a period of time, like what is the total versus active employees. And you see that this is how the graphs is basically coming. So that is something it can provide information as to overall the variation is consistent. And we have this as attrition problem as well, let's say, that they may want to address. Second thing is headquarters versus remote employee. So you see that, let's say if you have a threshold of maybe 20% or 25%, that you don't want in any case, the remotees should be 25%, and you can see that it is mostly consistent. So just to give a contextual information about the KPI that we are showing. Then down there we are showing employee tenure in years. For example, this is the average stay what we have showed overall in the Department of Engineering, but employee tenure in years by their job title is something what we want to show. And clearly, the information that it gives is statistician number 4 designation, or statistician level 4 is staying on an average 16 years into the organization, which is 4 times or 3.5 times more than anything or any job title that you have, right? And down there you can find other job titles within this department as to how much people within these titles are really spending. So something to worth look at and replicate the best practice, like why statisticians are spending more or staying in the organization for a longer duration as compared to anything. For even if you see statistician level 3 is spending just 1/3 of or 1/4 of your statistician force. So something is really not right, which with this information you may want to address, or your management may want to address this. And finally, you have the employee tenure in years. This is more like a consistent information if you would see. However, because it is by the title, it may be the case that some titles you have the younger population, like for example 38 is the year age, so senior developer, statistician, and so on and so forth, all these people are of lesser age, like research assistant and administrative assistant, which is expected. But VP quality control 35 is more like an exception to me, because generally VPs are somewhere in their higher age group, like 40 plus, 45 plus, and things like this. So that's something to basically look at as to if you want to drill more into this data. All right, so that's something, key KPIs, key metrics I have tried to create. Now you can do two things. You can just pause here and try to create on your own by looking up this data set and basically replicate this if you like the look and feel and everything. But if you want to create it with me, I will just give you a walkthrough, detailed walkthrough as to what I have done step by step. So okay, so very first thing is the page information. So if I click completely outside, as you can see, I'm clicking outside, and over here in the visualization, what I go here in the format your report page over here, and we have this something called as wallpaper, and in the wallpaper I'm choosing this color, right? So this is one, and I'm giving it a transparency of 57%. You can keep it like 50-60%, but something what I've kept, I found that it is looking good after putting the KPIs and all. So 57% is what I've set. That's the number one setting. The number two setting is putting a banner over here. So the banner is something you can put it using this text box. So once you add the text box, you will get this box, and I have just made like Power BI in one color using the color over here. This is the font I'm using, this is the font size. So Power BI in one color and HR Analytics is in the white color. And then for the background of this text box, you basically go in the format over here in the effects in the background. What I am choosing is this one, either this one or probably this one. Yeah, this one over here. So it's in the same theme but a darker color, right? And here I'm not using any transparency. So that way my Power BI and HR Analytics name is popping out, or it's giving like a highlight, okay, what this dashboard is. And since I'm making it in a Power BI, I just added the text Power BI, but in your dashboards, or let's say you are creating a dashboard, you really don't need to put it over here. You can simply say HR Analytics dashboard. Okay, so once you have configured this, the next thing you are going to put is, okay, by what dimensions you may want to slice and dice. And here we have taken the department. So what I have done is I have first chosen this slicer. As you can see, it is already selected in my case, but if you click it over here, you will going to get a list and not a drop down like this one, right? So first select the slicer, then add this field department, right? In the human resource, if you have department, you need to drag it over here, and then to convert it into the drop down, you need to come it over here, this icon, like triangle sort of an icon, and then choose from list to drop down. Once you select the drop down, you will going to get the drop down like this, which in my view is making sense in this particular scenario. However, in many other scenario, the list box may make more sense. Okay, and then I have done the formatting by going over here in the format, right? And in format you have, like, for example, values. I have made it like same font. I have not changed the font, but I have changed the font size to 8, made it bold, and choose a little bit darker color over here. I think this is the one what I've chosen. And then over here in the background, I have not changed anything. However, if you want to change this background, let's say to similar to this one, you can come it over here and you can choose this. As you choose this, your background is now this one. So up to us, what do we want? I will just keep it like white. Ooh, okay, so I will just keep it like this one. And same thing, I have done it over here in this. All right, so I have done this. There is no border what I have chosen. And then apart from this, we have the header, right? Department. So by default, it takes the value of the field. But what you need to do is you need to change this to a field because it is a free text, as well as you want to have something which is like a conditional formatting or something, which I just don't recommend here in this case. So use the department and, you know, make it like little bit large, like 12, make it bold, choose the good font color, right? And then I have not done anything over here in the slicer setting. And over here in general, then you have the effects, like what is the background color, if you want to put any transparency or anything. The same setting, you need to do it for the gender. Okay, choose the slicer, convert into choose the slicer, bring the gender field. So once you have created the slicers, then what you need to do is come to the KPI, and this is where most of the fun is going on in terms of creation of new fields or creation of new calculation. Okay, so usually what I do is I create only the first KPI with all the formattings and everything, and then I copy and paste and only change the field information. That way I save my time to do the format and don't do the formatting again and again. So the very first KPI, as you can see, is the 6624, which is the total employees. That means in the engineering department, the total employees that are present. And if I just show you the visualization, it is nothing but the card visualization. So over here in this card visualization, you have this total employees, and total employees is basically nothing but the ID field. If you see, This is the total employees. However, how I am renaming this from ID to total employee by double clicking over here, and that way the total employees are being displayed in the front end. So that's what I am doing. Along with that, as you can see, I'm doing some formatting. So if I just click it over here, you will see by going here in the formatting that we have this first value is call out value. That means the big value over here. Here I'm using the font size as 45, which is a default. I have not done anything, and color is also default. I don't want to change anything. And in case of total employees, I just made it bold. That's what I've done, right? And you can, play around with this if you want to just look at it, how to make it like more interactive. So that's, you can try it out. After that, what I'm doing is I'm going into a general, and here in the effects, I'm using this color, which is the same color that I've chosen for the page background, but I'm giving it a transparency of 80%. That way it will look that it is a part of the page. However, it is a KPI, so it is sort of popping up or coming out from the page. So that's the sort of an effect I've tried to create by making it like more transparent. So that's something I've done, and I've then copied and pasted 4 times, 1, 2, 3. But here in this case, I'm using a different setting, which I will tell you as I'll reach there. Now the second KPI, what I have done is I'm doing it for active employees. So this is the total employee that you have had so far, but here is the active employee count. That means the people who are actually working, those who are not terminated. And the way, if you see, the active employee is basically the field, and here is the active employee field. And this is nothing but I am just counting blank from the human resource field terminated. So if I go over here in data, you will see that termination date is only present for those employees who are not yet part of the organization. That means if we just count the blank, you will be left with the active employee. And that's what the logic is when we are saying that we need to do the blank count, right? So that's what I've done. After that, I am using this next KPI, which is average stay in number of years, right? So average stay, number of years is here, stay duration. And what we are saying is basically, if you see, if is blank, then 0. That means we are not counting the active employee, because active employee is still working, right? So we are not counting them. But what we are saying that remove the active employee or don't count them, but then do the termination date minus the hire date and divide by 365 to give us the average stay, which is coming as 2 years. So this is the formula that you can pause and write it down or understand this as to what's going on over here. But this is a simple if condition, which is then we are aggregating it over using the average. So this is the average stay. Then we have the average employee age. So this is the field average active employee, because we don't want to count those who are not part of the organization. That will just make it like bit irrelevant. So again, if condition, if it is blank, that means it is active, then use the today, whatever the today value is, and subtract their birth date and divide by 365, which will give us the employee age average. And from here, when you aggregate, you need to choose the average. By default, it will choose sum. You need to choose the average. So this way, you will going to get the average employee age over here. Then you have the total versus active employee. So total versus active employee is this, total employee and active employee. We are showing this as a KPI, and down there we have a trend, just so that it will show you if there are any problems in terms of more attritions and things like those, and whether they are improving, declining, or what's going on based on the department and the gender that you are selecting. So a lot of information and interpretation that you can take it out from this. And this, you can see that we are looking at the hire date, right, on the x-axis, and on the values we have the count of ID, which is the total employees, and we have the active employees field over here, which we created. And I showed you we have counted the blank. So this shows the trend, and I've done some formatting, as you can see, with the title and legend, and over here I am not showing the y-axis. So over here, if you go, on the x-axis, I have turned off the title. Similarly, for the y-axis, I have, sorry, not this one, but y-axis, I have turned off the title and even the turned off entire y-axis. So by default, if you just turn off the y-axis, it will not turn off the title. So you need to go inside and then manually turn off it. That's the catch. Then I have legend, made it on, made it top center, right over here. And for the title, I have, and before I go to the title, the data label I want to show you, this one, because I did some formatting, and we are showing data labels. Label density is like 50%, and I'm showing it above the line, right? So this is the setting. And then for the values, I'm using 8 and bold. I think by default it shows 9. I made it 8 and made it bold and dark color, dark black color. That way it is showing properly. On the x-axis, if you see, I am not showing the title, and even I have reduced the value to 8. By default it shows 9 because I just want to display them to get the idea, but not if there is no interpretation or anything which is going on there, or no focus. I don't want that. So in general, we have this background which is different, right? So we are going here in the effects, in the color. What is the color is something I'm choosing the gray color, the light gray color over here, and making it further transparent 70%. So it stands out, but still looks like it is part of the entire page. So not much of a difference, right? I found this setting good. However, you can play it around. And then in the title, I just changed the default title to total versus active employee, and we can do all this formatting and the central alignment like I have done it over here. So once I have made this, all these settings, put the figures, I have copied and pasted the chart as you can see. And then over here in this case, I have just changed the field, which is active employees, active remotees and headquarters. So these are the two fields. Active headquarters is nothing but you count the location of the employee based on the filter, which is the headquarters. Similarly, for active employee, you count the employee location and give the employee location as this. But whole idea is that it is the active employee and not the resigned one. And for that, I have created a column which is active employee location. So that means wherever the termination date is blank, if you see, we are counting the location, otherwise we are keeping it blank. So that is a setting what I have done, and based on that setting I am counting this values, or I am choosing this location and active employee location and filtering it using the calculate function. So once you have put it over there, you will find a chart like this one, which gives you the idea whether more people are doing remote or less people are doing remote, right? And whether a proper gap is maintained. Let's say you have some threshold of only 25% of the employees should do the remote, then this will tell you, okay, the situation are not going worse, even the remotees are going down, right? So that's just to give an idea and expand upon this KPI. What it reminds me is that I did not give you the information about this KPI. So this KPI, as you can see, is about remotees. So the first part of this KPI is this 1350, nothing but the blank value I'm showing so that it does not show any value underneath it. And this is what the active remotees is. And active remotees is basically, I want to count the active employee location, and the active employee location is remote, right? Very simple. And for this, what I'm doing is I'm using remotee percentage. This is nothing but the division between the human resources, active and active remotees divided by the active employees using the divide function. Okay, so this is what I am sort of using it over here. That way it is coming as 25% as the active remotees that we are having it over here. And both of these are basically going on top of this box, which is nothing but, if you go in insert over here, this is the box. Once you add this rectangle, make it the same size like your KPI, you need to just go over here, I think in the style, use the color, use the same transparency 80%, and you will be done. One last thing you may need to do is you need to go into the format and you need to send it back, send backward, send to back. That way your KPI values are coming on top of this rectangle. So this is just an arrangement to give a similar type of look and feel. Alright, I just wanted to cover this since I recall I have not covered it already. So this is the part. Then I have copied this chart and pasted it over here. It will come as an area chart, but you need to change it to the clustered bar chart, right? Change the axis to job title, which is present here, and values to average stay duration. We already seen that this particular calculation earlier, right? And it shows by the job title what are the employees who are staying more. So clearly statistician level 4 is staying for a higher number of years as compared to anyone like statistician number 4, and then you have like what administrative assistant and all the designation that you have in the department as an engineering. So it gives a wealth of information as to who are staying more, who are staying less, and those who are staying more, you can definitely get to know the best practices as to what's going on in that job title or in that department, and replicate at others, so that there is a satisfaction and people are staying more in the organization. Now the next thing is employee turnover. So I copied this and pasted this over here. So this is the employee tenure in years, and this is again showing you by the title who is the most aged employee, and if you go down, who is like the most youngest employees, right? So that is just to give you an idea as to how the health of age looks like in your department. I mean, whether you have the more aged employee or youngest employee, or based on the title, if you have certain understanding whether you need to have more aged employee or youngest employee as a combination as part of the health of the department. So these are all the different charts that I have created to give an entire overview as to from the approved or decided metric as to how the information looks like, and whether how the health of the organization or the department look like, gender diversity thing, and everything in the one single page. So people can spend the time over here, interpret the information, and take the decision as they want. But overall, I wanted to give you from a beginner's perspective, as you can see, not very complex visualization or calculation we are doing, but I wanted to give you some ideas as to how to create these type of dashboard, which are good, visually appealing, easy to create, and within just couple of hours, if you get an assignment, how you can create it. We can make it as complex as we want, and my plan is that I show you a couple of more scenarios, and along with those scenarios, the design to give you an idea as to how you can create bit advanced dashboard, which is probably coming in this series, which I will keep on posting as I find more and more time. But you let me know in the comments what do you like, you did not like, and what I should do more to help you out for your learning, and I'll be happy and glad to help you out in that scenario. So with that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll meet you in the next video with a new topic.